Hey, welcome to the 17 Law Studio. I'm Russ Rogers, and today we're going to talk about why do marriages end? How do I keep from becoming a statistic? What's the main reason for that marriages end in divorce? So, what I started doing a while back is taking your questions, and then when I get several in one area, then I'll answer them on one of my shows. Today, I think because marriages, most of them don't make it, which is why I do what I do because I want more to make it. People are saying, "Hey, how do I keep from becoming a statistic?" And I've got some ideas on that. I'm not the expert, but I do have some ideas, and most of my ideas are based on my experience. My experience, either in my family or my experience with a bunch of other couples and families that I've dealt with, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds that I've dealt with over the years. Now, some of these families I've dealt with over the years, honestly, I'd like to think that every couple I dealt with, it all worked out like roses, but that's not been the case. But I can say that the majority of time it does work out. I always think there's hope. Uh, so I can't tell you how many couples I've had that one of them's been served with divorce papers, or they caught the other one cheating, or over and over, or whatever the case may be. So there's a lot to how this how do we keep from becoming a statistic? And it's I can't possibly answer it in the next 20 minutes to the degree that it deserves, but I can help give you a proper perspective. So this whole series again, you can send your questions to me, Russ at the17laws.com. I don't always answer them. In fact, most of the time I don't with another email because I don't have time. But I'll take when I get a bunch, and like I mentioned a while ago, I'll combine questions and topics, and I'll do my next show or a show on them. And I've got enough on these that people are starting to see that that most marriages don't make it, and they're saying, "Hey," or my parents did their marriage didn't make it, and their parents didn't. Hey, I want to stop that. How do I do that? And I can't tell you how many people have sat across my in front of me in front of my desk, and they said, "You know what? I never thought in a million years it would happen to me. Never thought it would happen to me." But it does, and those things happen. So I love these questions because the answer to this question is why I do what I do. And again, I can't do it justice, but I can kind of touch on it for just a few moments. Uh, and it'll help you. Now I do have a video series. I'm not trying to sell it. It's typically $567 right now. I took off the 500. You can check on my links and get it. It's only $67, and there's a lot of the things that I talk about. It's several videos, and one whole section's on intimacy, by the way. And then I have other sections on finance and relationships, communication, all that. All those things help you from becoming a statistic. So if I was going to answer one of the things that keeps you from becoming a statistic, I would say in that video series, which is hours, quite a few hours long, which I can't do right now, but you and your spouse could do it, and y'all could over several weeks watch a few minutes, pause, talk about it, and then next date night or next night when the kids are in bed, take a look at that, and then talk about it and do that over some time. That would be helpful. But I'm going to touch on a lot of those. So why do they fail? Well, sometimes they fail because they were doomed from the beginning. Unfortunately, I've seen this happen way too much that they shouldn't have got married anyway. So if you're watching this and you're not married and you're wondering if you should get married, perfect timing. Or if you just got a divorce and you're looking at another marriage possibility, this may be good timing. So there are a couple of things that I see when people that are red flags when they shouldn't get married. One is you should ask your closest friends in your family, should I marry this person? Do you like this person? And give them the freedom to be honest. And if you don't give them freedom to be honest, they're not going to be honest with you. Because so many times people get a divorce, and then all the friends and family come out of the woodwork like, I knew it wouldn't work. I knew that guy wasn't the right for you. I knew he was a jerk. I knew he was a crook. I knew he was this. or I knew she was crazy. I knew something. Um, Everybody they tell you then, why can't we get that information before? And I can tell you why is because whoever's getting married, they don't want to know. They don't want to hear the truth. They're on the hope plan. They hope it all works out. So there's one thing. Another thing I've seen more than once, especially on young couples, when when uh, a parent or somebody just does not have the relational equity with their child, and they're just pounding their child about whoever they're dating, and they're young. A lot of times, just out of rebellion, they'll marry the person. So I don't see that. In older people, no, but maybe like if you're 18, 20 years old, sometimes I've seen that. There are a couple things. First, they shouldn't have got married. Ask if you're wondering if you should get married. Introduce your future spouse to the closest people you know, and somebody will be honest with you. They'll be honest. One of them will know, like, no, this guy, married. Here's the next thing I say why you shouldn't have gotten married. Sometimes I've seen them get married. Let's say the guy's lazy, he doesn't have a job, he just wants to sit over there and play video games, or he's got mental issues, or whatever the case may be, and she thinks she can marry him and save him, and it'll all work out. I've seen it the other way, where she's got all kinds of issues. He wants to marry her, but he thinks he can save her and bring her to light and to solve all her problems, and then it's going to be marital bliss. Well, that it can happen. I'm sure in some situations that has happened. Not many. So if you're one of those, like, oh my, I know he's got a drug issue, or I know she's crazy, I know that he's got this issue and he's lazy and all this, but once we get married, it's all going to go away. Well, now fix those things and then get married. Get whatever it is that they need, get them that help, and then get married. Otherwise, it's a mess because the marriage probably isn't going to work out. So one of the ways to fix a lot of the marriages that fail is they shouldn't have got married anyway. And those are the two areas that I see the most. Those two right there. So a good percentage of them shouldn't have gotten married. And now, what about the fact that you're already married? How do you stay married? Or what causes people from staying married? There's in a couple of shows ago, I talked about finances. Is that the number one? I don't think so. I think it's probably a symptom of it, but not necessarily the driving cause. And I've had couples say, "Well, he spent all this money, bought all this," but that was a trust issue. They never got on a budget. They never got on the same page. They never even discussed those things. There's never anything like that. So financially, uh, it it's not the reason, but it's a reason. So the surefire way to insert mistrust into a relationship that would head you toward the marriage breaking up would be in the financial world. Of course, it would be a factor. An example, I always say, two separate bank accounts. There's no good reason you want separate bank accounts. You either don't want your spouse to know what you're spending your money on, or you don't want any accountability. Or you just, hey, it's my money, I do what I want to with it. But when you're married, it's not your money, it's both of your money. It belongs to both of you. And if you're one of those that says, well, my spouse is I can't trust him or her with money. They're spendthrift. If they had access to the bank account, we wouldn't have anything. Well, that's a whole nother issue that's got to get fixed. Because if the only way you can carry on a relationship with an adult who's going to be the parent of your child and all that is to hide money from them, they won't spend it. That's a whole nother issue. You got to get some help and resolve that for sure. But on the financial issues, the best thing you can do is be transparent about finances. Everybody, both spouses, both husband and wife, you've got to both know all the bank accounts, all the savings accounts, all the login credentials for all that, and stocks and crypto and life insurance, health insurance. Every dime, both of them need to have a clear path to wherever all that is, and go on the app on their phone and be able to get it a piece of cake. Which there shouldn't be anything that either one doesn't know about. Now, you may have one spouse that handles all the finances, but the other one needs to be in that loop and understand and have all that. In my family, I handle most of that, but my wife is capable, but I just handle it. But I have all that documented in a secure place, and she has access to everything I have access to. So, finances. So here's that's so again the question today is, how do I keep my marriage from falling apart? How can I keep from becoming a statistic? First part, some of you shouldn't have got married. If you're thinking about getting married, maybe you don't need to get married. But if you are married, and the financial part of it is certainly part of it. But overall, this is the number one reason I believe that marriages don't work out. I'm pausing for effect. Number one reason. Okay, enough pausing. It's because everything that you did to get your spouse, the dating and the loving and the anything, you couldn't do anything wrong. If you couldn't have your breath wasn't bad, who cares if you had spinach in your teeth or you gained a pound or whatever the case may be? You didn't care. Every waking moment, you're calling, texting, chasing each other, whatever the case may be. You couldn't wait to see each other. That stops after so many years of being married, sometimes after you get married. If that stayed in place from then on, from the time you met them to the time you got married, after kids, before kids, everything, that I don't think we would have hardly any marriages that fell apart. I would be surprised. How could you possibly pursue someone like you did when you're dating, and it and them not like it and not be bliss? For example, my wife and I still pursue each other, probably more so than we were dating. We can't wait to be around each other. I'm always calling, texting. We're both texting and fun things to each other. We're always we have date nights one or two or three times a week. Where we can't wait to see. I already said that we can't wait to do things together. We plan things together. I don't plan things without her. Uh, I can't. I mean, it's I never get tired of chatting with her. We never run out of things to talk about. And she knows without any doubt that she's the most important human on earth to me, without any question. And I am confident I am to her. And when, if she's the most important and to me, and I'm the most important to her, then there should be evidence of that. So if you say my spouse is the most important person to me, but there's no evidence. But the evidence would say, no, 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 it's your job, it's your career. If I just came in, say you hired me as a a relational consultant, and I just followed you around, well, the evidence might say, no, your job is your most important, and second might be your children are most important, and then third might be hunting and fishing and golf or whatever it is that you do, and then fourth, okay, your wife got to number four. Well, those where wife is number four, that means that you're headed to be a statistic. So the evidence. Now, if you followed me around, I promise my wife would be in the number one slot. My kids and family and all would be, I'd like to think, number two. That's my opinion. My business and all that would be three, four, whatever. There's probably something else I'm not thinking of at the moment. But the evidence in your life should be that. So, for example, what did you do yesterday for your spouse, for your husband or wife? Or the day before? Did you call, text? Did you have fun? Did you hug, kiss, rub each other's leg, knee? Was any intimacy in the last 7 days? Is there any Have you sat in each other's lap or had fun or laughed together? Have you had some personal conversation? Have you, all those things that you may, right after you got married, all those little fun things that you did? Has that happened in the last month, 6 months? See that dating your wife, dating your husband forever is a thing, and I don't have time for that. Well, it's not nearly as time consuming as all the fallout from not doing that. There you go. That's less time consuming. I did a video not too long ago, and it's talking about finding time for your spouse. And I promise you that I hate to repeat myself, but it does tie together. So I have 4 children. I'm married, a business or two, volunteer in the community, a job, all those things that I do. You don't know a busier human than me, but I have a couple, at least 1 or 2 date nights a week with my wife. My kids are a priority. Exercise pretty much every day. I'm sure there's days that I can't because I'm traveling or something, but I do that because all that's a priority. See, what a lot of people do is, okay, I've got work and we got to take the kids here, 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 here. We got all these million things we got to do, and man, we're just so busy. We just don't have time for a date night. See, I don't operate that way. No, we don't not have date nights. That's not even you, it's just like, okay, you're taking little Billy to basketball on Tuesday night. You say, well, we just don't have time to take you to basketball. Billy go, what? You don't have time to take me to basketball? That's what he would say. That's the way I treat date night. Or like going to work tomorrow. You should say, I just don't have time to go to work tomorrow. I just got too much to do. You have to go to work. You can't not go to work. So that's how I treat time with my wife. Well, it's on the calendar. And if somebody calls and says, "Hey, y'all want to do blank?" No, no, no. I've got something on the calendar. It's that's how we operate. It's that big a deal. And I know people who have bought into this, and when they finally buy into it, they're not a statistic. I've had people kind of touch on it, and then 6 months later, they're saying, "Oh, I think she's wanting to leave me again." And then 6 months later, I think she's wanting to leave me again. I have those conversations. But the ones that bought in that their spouse and their marriage is the most important thing in their life, and there's evidence of that, hey, probably not going to be a statistic. Uh, so there's some things that I hope help you not become a statistic. Let me see if there's one other thing here for you. Uh, there, I don't really want to take the time to do this. I will in another one. I've got in my video series that I shared about earlier. I've got it in that, and I think I may have it on a different podcast. It's been a little while, but I may do it again. And that has to do with trying to understand how your spouse is made up. Like my wife, for example. Uh, you've heard the term love languages, and it's not a preachy term. It's not anything. It's a person. It's how God made us. It doesn't make you any better than me if yours is different than mine. It just means that we're different. Just like you like spaghetti, I don't like spaghetti. Somebody else likes shrimp, and then somebody else doesn't like seafood at all. Some people like red cars and other people like blue cars. Some people like to be in crowds and some don't. Some people like public speaking and some don't. It doesn't make anybody any better, just makes us different. So if you hate public speaking, but I'm constantly putting you up front to public speak, you're going to be a nervous wreck. You're going to learn to hate my stinking guts, and that's not going to go well. So if you're asking people to do things or you're treating people to do things that go completely against how God made them, then it's going to be a constant issue. Anybody would agree with that. Just like if you hated the color white, but every time I gave you something it was white, you'd say, "Man, what the heck? He just doesn't get it." So I drive a truck. My wife drives us a Honda Pilot. Well, she loves her Pilot. Well, I love my truck, but if I went and bought her a truck, she'd say, "I don't want a truck." I appreciate it. If I bought her $100,000 brand new truck, She said, well, I appreciate the thought, but I don't want a truck. But here's a truck. You should like a truck. I like a truck, so you should like a truck. Why? I don't like a truck. Well, I kind of want to beat that dead horse for just a second. Uh, by the way, why would anybody beat a dead horse? I don't even. I don't. I need to look that up and see why somebody even had that saying. But anyway, this. So in love languages, like my wife is a quality time person. She feels loved. God made her to feel loved by quality time. That's quality time with me in the context of our marriage. So I can buy her I can get her a new pod, I can get her a new whatever. But she should appreciate the new stuff. But she's not going to feel loved by me unless I'm with her, spending time with her. So and everybody, and there's words of affirmation, like that would be mine's words of affirmation. She could buy me stuff, and I'm I'm an appreciator of stuff, or somebody gives me something, but you can honestly go the rest of your life and never buy me a present. You can write on a card saying, I appreciate you. You're a great guy. You did a great job with this. You look great. Love your hair, whatever. And the words of affirmation make me feel loved. And I say all this as quick as I possibly can in the next 2 or 3 minutes I've got left, because the question was marriages that fail. How do we keep from being a statistic? And the quicker you learn the makeup of your spouse, the quicker you learn to stop giving them a big old nice truck when they don't want one. And you're thinking, well, they should appreciate it. I spent $100,000 on that truck. Well, they don't want that. That's not how they were made. So the quicker you figure out, I can't tell you how many times that I've had guys who bought their spouses all this stuff but didn't spend any time with them, and they split up. And the guy the whole time was saying, well, I gave her everything she wanted. No, you didn't. She wanted one thing. She wanted you and time with you. And she wanted love from you by spending time and all that. But you decided you wanted to do all these other things and give her stuff so you wouldn't have to spend time with her. So he should have been, they should all be shocked if their wife didn't leave them or have an affair or whatever. Same with the guys. I've had women who say, hey, I did his laundry, I did this and this, but then he's a words of affirmation guy, and she didn't respect him, treated him like a dog, and then he leaves or has an affair or whatever, and she's like, I did all this stuff for him, and she goes to her friends and she says, I did this and this and this for him. I raised his children for him. I did all this sort of stuff. And then what kind of appreciation do I get? Well, he would have done his own laundry. He would have helped with the kids. He needed you to love him, respect him, and treat him like you were really proud of him. Those are some things that'll help keep your marriage from derailing. There's more. This is huge. It's a huge topic. Shoot some more questions. Don't send me any hate mail, because I probably left out some important things. My disclaimer is there's no way I could get it done in 25 minutes, but I don't want to drag this out. I hope this helps. My passion, the reason I do what I do, spend hours and hours doing what I'm doing, is because the very topic this is I want to keep as many marriages from derailing as humanly possible, and do all I can to help you do that. Again, if you get a chance, follow me on YouTube. Until then, I'll see you on the next show.